Okay, this is actually a real change, I think. Damage reduction changed from blah to blah. Holy frick. OCO! Guess what? Patch time, boys. Now, I literally heard people just screaming that there was a patch on a stream. And then I ducked out of that stream immediately to do this because I didn't want to get spoiled. So this is like the only patch review I've ever done where I am 100% certain that I have zero spoilers. But I would love it if somebody could ever tell me why this little patch note thing doesn't have an icon above it. Even though I just got in game and I haven't looked at the patch. But I swear to God, tomorrow, this will have it. After I've read the patch notes, I'll finally get the notification. Whatever. Okay, January 16th, to your health. Here's an update. So we're still doing cheers with Joel, apparently. Okay. Fixed an issue with Assassin Pathfinding that led to them standing still. Okay, great. Yeah, so Viper did this in one of my tournament matches today, and I only noticed it in one round, but it's a thing. It happens all the time. I don't know really what causes it, but I'm glad it's fixed. Improved pathfinding performance, leading to better local bot games. Okay. Fixed an issue with Batrider's voice. Fixed an issue with a Batrider voice line. So Batrider has Batrider's bat is a girl, and it's a girl in Dota. It's a girl in it's a girl in Underlords too, and he's got lines like "Giddy up, girl" or "Come on, girl" or stuff like that, right? But there was one line Batrider had, and I think it was when you first buy him, and he says, "Don't worry about the bat. He's totally nice, or he's perfectly nice," or something like that. And then it's like a 2-beat, and he goes, "I'm just kidding. He's a total bastard." Okay, so they fixed it. I assume that is the voice line they're talking about. They changed it to say she's a total bastard. I assume, or maybe they just fully did the line. Bastard really doesn't work for a girl. So I assume they probably didn't say bitch. I'm pretty sure those two words are not on the same level of severity for whatever reason, but maybe they did. I don't know. Who knows? It's Valve. I don't know how many fucks they actually give. Fixed Nessix's Golem using the upgraded model at all times. Well, that actually kind of sucks. Because the upgraded version is a lot snazzier and cool, and you don't control when it upgrades. Like, it's just based on your level. I mean, you can see everybody's level. I wish they'd just use the whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, Underlord changes Joel. Maximum health went up a ton. Good. He was literally I don't think he had less health than Hobgen at all points, but I know late game he had less health than Hobgen. And it's like, this is supposed to be your tanky frontliner Underlord, and he melts. So it's very good. And he gets a base magic resistance, okay? I'm going to go with because he's drunk. Can't feel fireballs if you're drunk. Aggressive version, Barrels of Fun, giving... Jesus Christ. Aggressive tank version, giving enemies damage resistance instead of increased damage. Wow. Okay, that's good. So aggressive tank is better. Actually works now. Replaced slow burn with roundhouse. Jewel gains 70% damage reduction, 200 attack speed, and 50% lifesteal. Okay. Healing. Replace Righteous Healing with To Your Health. Jewel gains 70% damage reduction for 5 seconds. Adjacent units are healed for 200% of the damage taken by Jewel during this time. I wonder if that is... Okay, that has got to be 200% of the damage taken. So that's after their damage reduction. So he's only taking 30% damage. Adjacent allies are healed for 200% of 30%. So that's... I mean, it's you're healed for double what he takes. But it's only going to be 60% of what should have been dealt to him. But it is multiplied by all adjacent allies, so that hypothetically should be at least 2. Okay. I don't know about that, honestly. I'm gonna have to go look at Joel, and it also doesn't help that I didn't have his old abilities memorized. Okay, let's just look at hero changes. Alchemist nerfed. -1 to the armor reduction at all levels. I'm okay with this. I think, and I've said this, I don't know if it was in a tournament game or a different video that I cut, but I've said this before. I'm pretty sure right now Alchemist is the most contested unit in the game. He is like the uber definition of good stuff, and I think he always will be. His scrappy tag is pretty useless if you're not going scrappies, because even if you're just dipping, if you're going a good stuff build or you're just picking stuff up, like even having 2 scrappies isn't that great because it's only one of the 2 get the bonus. But the Warlock tag is super powerful. And even though he's not a rapid caster, he usually only gets 1 off a fight. He might get 2. But even though he does that, it's a huge AoE. And, I mean, it's better armor reduction. A level 1 Alchemist does more armor reduction than tier 2 of Heartless. Is that right? So level 1 Alchemist was -5. Okay, Heartless is 3-8. So yeah, I mean, his ability is better than 2 Heartless units on your board. Right? And I mean, to be fair, his ability is still better than 2 Heartless units on your board. And the Acid Spray doesn't cover the whole map, but it's close. It's like, I don't know, like 80% of the tiles? Unless he just aims it really bad. And that can happen because it goes, his targeting, whatever his target is, that's the center. So he can aim it and have it be a really small portion, but if the enemy has a front line and Alk is on your front line, it's going to be most of the board. So, yeah, I mean, he's good. He's still very good. He will probably still be the most hotly contested unit. I mean, there's just not... Mages don't want him. That's about it. You pick him up in Assassins because he goes with Broodmother to get you Warlock. I mean, it's just like anything. Anything that has 1 Warlock you want, and even if you don't, like say you're running some like Brute build or a Savage build that for some reason doesn't have Warlocks, and you have 9 units, Alchemist is still, I mean, that's what you want for your 10th unit. Pretty much regardless of anything else. So, there you go. Crystal Maiden, buffed at levels 2 and 3. Okay, buffed at all levels. Damage buffed at 2 and 3. Duration buffed at all levels. And which I assume, because I think that is damage per tick. That's not the right button. Crystal Maiden's tier 2. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a straight buff to Crystal Maiden. That's good. She needed it. So she's going to do 100 more damage at level 1. And then 125 plus 25 times 4 is 100. So 225 more damage at level 2. And then 150 plus 50 times 5 is 250. So 400 damage. 400 more damage at level 6. Is that right? She was doing 500 plus 250, 750. Now she'll be doing 1200. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that sounds like a really big number, but it's also a 3-star Crystal Maiden. So, okay. Yeah, that's good. She needed it. Dragon Knight, max health, nerfed at all levels. 100, 200, and then 400. That's fair. Dragon Knight is probably, I don't know if he's even number 2 hotly contested. He is pretty hotly contested, though. Snapfire burns out way soon. And without Puck for another Dragon Knight's your go-to. So a lot of things pick him up. Yeah, it's pretty good. Earth Spirit moved to tier 2. No changes to his stats. Ember Spirit moved to tier 3. No changes to his stats. Both of those things needed to happen. Desperately needed to happen. It will do interesting things to assassins. And it kind of wrecks the stay at level 4 as long as possible method. Now you kind of have to choose. Do you want to stay at? I don't even think you choose anymore. Assassins go to 6, or maybe you just stay at 5. 5 gets you 30% for tier 2 and 30% for tier 3. I think it's probably what you want to do. You want to max out your odds for both Quap and Ember, and you'll also have Viper in that mix now. Yeah. So you can look at this. This is a straight Earth Spirit buff and a straight Ember Spirit nerf. And Earth Spirit was the worst hero in the game by pretty much all standards, I think. Ember Spirit has been nerfed several times. This doesn't put him at unpickable by any means. But it does make him weaker. Makes him more expensive, really, for the same thing. And they fixed the Battle Fury thing, so he's good. I don't think he's amazing anymore. It kind of, I mean, I don't know, like for my build, going Scrappy Assassins, I mean, I'm kind of like, if I pick Snapfire, I'm really locked into Bounty, Nyx, Viper. But that feels so horrible to play, and I've gotten to the point where I hate Snapfire. Because it feels like every time I try to do that, I lose. And I've had much more luck going Nyx, Bounty, Ember, or one of the 2 level 1s, Ember and Viper, or something like that. This is a nerf to the Scrappy Assassin build for sure. Obviously a nerf to Assassins too. Okay, whatever. Morphling, waveform damage changed to be higher at level 3. And cooldown changed to just always be 6. It's interesting. It's a strange buff. Because really, I mean, so if you're playing, I mean, Morphling is basically just in mages. Primordials are pretty dead right now. And in mages, like pretty much the only thing that made you viable was having a 3-star morph and a 3-star storm spirit. And so they decide just to give him more damage, but it takes him longer to waveform, which means he's going to be more killable. I mean, I'm okay with it because Storm zips back and forth really quickly. So this makes Morph a little bit more killable, but he does more damage before he dies. It also really solidifies, like, you kind of... I've seen people put Octarine Essence on Storm, and I think it's wrong. Because all Octarine Essence cuts down on Storm is, like... I don't even... like, 1 second? It's only... it's a... Let's check the item first. Pretty sure it's 30%? Yeah. So... yeah, so Ball Lightning is 3 seconds at level 3, so you're saving 1 second. It was a better choice on Morphling anyway. Now it's... I mean, now it's not an argument. Because what you do is you put Octarine Essence on him, and basically you're getting the old, close to the old timing for new damage. Omni-Knight, Health Nerfed? Really? Nerfed at all levels. Okay. I didn't think Omni-Knight was all that good. I mean, he's got a ton of health at level 3, though. More than I realized he did. I guess it's not that much. 580? It's quite a bit, but... okay, whatever. Razor. Minimum damage shot up to 40. Maximum changed to higher at level 1, lower at level 3. So this is like a don't buy 3-star Razor as often as you used to, I guess. He is tier 1, it just costs you 3 more gold. Keep in mind though, this does weird things because his damage is like based on the distance and everything. But I think it is just a straight... I mean, he's just better at level 1 and at level 2. And I don't know that he's worse at level 3, really. It just means that because his minimum damage has gone up, it means that he is more viable closer to the front line. So, sure. Shadow Shaman. Interesting. Okay, so Shadow Shaman's Hex will not hex targets unless all other targets have been hexed. Which, I mean, basically means that he won't just sit there and spam one unit over and over and over again, which is extremely annoying. But I feel like the opposite scenario happens just as often. It's just that nobody notices it. Right? If Shadow Shaman sits there and hexes the unit you actually don't care about getting hexed and lets your damage dealers run through their army, you don't notice that. You don't complain about it. When he hexes your DPS unit over and over and over again, that's when you notice it. So, don't get me wrong, this may make like the average... I think it probably takes the variance out of Shadow Shaman a little bit. This makes, you know, all Shadow Shaman games feel more similar, and you don't ever have those times where it feels like he does nothing. You don't ever have those times where it's like he won me that fight. Sure. Sniper Assassinate changed again. Cooldown up to 12. If no units are alive on the enemy side except the Underlord, Sniper will be able to cast Assassinate on the Underlord In all other circumstances, sniper will still not cast under. Okay, so there was a bug apparently where if there was only the enemy Underlord left, sniper would sit there and shoot until his mana was full or until his cooldown went off, and then he would try to assassinate, and he'd just sit there because he couldn't assassinate the enemy Underlord. But what it did was it locked his auto attack too. So basically what this means is, yeah, if you get in that scenario, he'll just assassinate the Underlord. This is an interesting little kind of buff, I guess, to an Essex, because an Essex was kind of immune to that bug. He would always just assassinate her little minion. Of course, I also don't know how it works. So say he kills the minion and starts an assassinate. If the minion gets summoned, will he change targets? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Will it matter? Probably not. Okay, whatever. Storm Spirit. Base damage went up at all levels. Extra damage per cell traveled changed to go up by 5 at all levels. Okay, straight up Storm Spirit buff. The mages are being buffed, apparently, is what it feels like here. That's a bit scary. Storm Spirit was already a scary unit. He's gonna wreck people's faces now. Tiny max health went up at all levels. Attack minimum went up at all levels. Attack maximum went up at all levels. Okay, so just straight up tiny buff. Treant Protector cooldown increased. Good. Unit is good. Treant is probably still the best unit in the game, especially early game. He's not the best unit in the game. He's the best unit in the game pre-20, probably. Viper Nether Toxin nerfed. Which one is Nether Toxin? I consistently forget. This is his main ability. Yeah, probably needed to happen. My thing about Viper is sometimes when Viper feels good, he feels great. When Viper feels bad, he feels pretty bad. So, I don't know. At least he's not worse at level 1, I guess. That's the important part. He almost never feels good at level 1. Unless you get him super early. He will probably still feel alright. I feel like that is enough of a nerf, though, that you... I don't really think he's a 3-star target anymore. Especially with Ember Spirit being his competition in Tier 3. I think that is enough of a nerf to Viper that you just don't... You don't 3-star it. I mean, on the other hand, you could have 2 Vipers on the board, I guess. He's a unit that doesn't feel bad. If you have Dragon Alliance, 2 Vipers can do a lot of damage, so... You use one as a tank, one as an assassin. I don't know. Okay, Diffusal Blade apparently did damage before. And now it deals more damage. Okay, so now, is this item good? They didn't change the tooltip. It says they changed the tooltip. So this says 20 mana per hit. Damage done generates 0 mana. Okay, so they didn't change the tooltip, but so apparently it burns mana and does damage. I don't know if it burns 20 mana still, or if now it burns 30. Because they said that the damage went up to 30, but I don't know about the mana. It's viable. I mean, you look at what it's compared to, right? Like Vlad's is good, Refresher is good, Moonshard is good. Those are your top 3 items in tier 4. Underneath that, I like Scythe of Ice. More because it gives you the mana than because it gives the hex. But I like Dagon and I like Butterfly, and I think Diffusal Blade is tier 2 now. And I personally think Eye of Scotty is like tier 2.5. Right? Sometimes Eye of Scotty is worth tier 2. But one thing I've always thought about and never really tried, it's just never happened, or I had a Battle Fury or something. But Diffusal Blade on an Ember Spirit could be so sick. Because you have to keep in mind, like most heroes, they're like at 100 mana, right? And burning 30 of their mana could be a big deal. The only caveat to this is it really only matters before that first spell is cast. Right? So Ember Spirit has to jump and generate enough mana that his spell goes off before some, most, or all of the enemy team. And in that scenario, he's going to burn 30 mana from everybody or 20 mana from everybody. And that's really good. Like, I mean, you're talking about delaying spell casts by 1 to 3 seconds. And like especially for like the backline DPS units that normally don't get hit, so they don't build mana fast. So good. So good. I don't know. I need to keep it in my head. Try to keep it in my head for Ember Spirit if I get there. I like today in a tournament game I played, I picked up Eye of Scotty for my Ember Spirit because I didn't have anything else. And I think right now, after that nerf, if I had Eye of Scotty and Diffusal and then Pipe of Insight or Black King Bar or something, I think I would take Diffusal over Scotty. I mean, Scotty gives you 600 health, though. And Ember Spirit gets to slow for the whole board. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know. I like Scotty. Everybody else hates it. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. Okay, Horn of the Alpha fixed an issue where it would summon 2 Thunderhides if IO revived it. That's just a nerf. I didn't even know that was a bug that was in the game, but that's one that I'm okay existing. I think the IO on Lone Druid and getting potentially 4 Spirit Bearers, that's kind of ridiculous. But 2 Thunderhides is not too powerful. Like, they could have left that in. Okay, apparently Mask of Madness wasn't being given credit for healing. Doesn't really matter. Didn't change anything. Vladimir's offering damage percent increased. Changed from 10 to 8. They didn't change any of the tooltips. Probably because I'm on mobile. Had to download the tooltips or something. That's okay. I will be perfectly level with you. I didn't realize there was a damage increase functionality in Vladimir's offering. I've read it a million times and never really seen it. I just saw armor, lifesteal, aura. So they made the item worse, but it was something I wasn't even thinking that existed, so whatever. Oh, I talked about Heartless sucking and they got a buff. So rewind the video to Alchemist, and right now a level 1 Alchemist is the same as 2 Heartless units. Two units on your board, the same as the ability of Alchemist. 2, and these are your units. Like, keep in mind, this is what you're getting. You have a hunter, a demon, a warrior, a knight, a brute, and a healer, and a mage. Wow. Just, okay. Wow. Basically, the only builds that ever go Heartless are Knights, maybe, because you can pick up Necro for the healer and Abaddon for the Knight. Brutes will get it a lot of the time just to get it, right? If you have an extra space on your board, you can grab a Drow, you can grab a Shadow Demon, or you can grab a Pudge even. Or, I mean, healing helps Brutes a ton. You can grab a Necrophos. God, this is still just such a terrible alliance. And I know I'm going to see people spamming it now. It goes 4, 9, 16. Like, is there any build? 6 Heartless. What do you pick? I mean, you take your 4, or you take your 6. And then I think Lich is probably good enough to replace any of those 6. Whichever one is not built in to your other stuff. You can go 3 Hunters with Drow. That would give you some damage to hit the not very armored people anymore. You can't go... I mean, you could do Warriors, I guess, but I feel like you're going to die a lot. Brutes. The only thing I can see being viable is Heartless Brutes. Or Heartless Hunters. But I bet I see it soon. Okay, Hunter gets another buff. So they went from 25, 35 at 2 extra shots. The last buff was 25, 35 to 2 extra shots, 3 extra shots. So now we're up to 30, 38. How did they move up 3? So at level 1, that's a 20% increase. What's 20% of... 10% would be 3.5. So yeah, I guess it's 20% increase at level 1, 10% at level 2. But it's not really 10% because you have 3 attacks instead of 2. Okay. There was a lot of Lord players that had already kind of been telling people, hey, Hunters are already good. I ran them. I wasn't super impressed. They could be okay now. They could be. You have to have something to put in front of them. Is the biggest problem with Hunters. There's no tank here. Beastmaster can be, and Medusa kind of is, but she's a tank that doesn't want to actually take damage. Oh yeah, that was the old buff. 25, 35, 2, 3. Yeah. I feel like though, with that increase to 30%, it's a 5% increase in your chance at 2 attacks, so it is 5% of double. 10%. It's a 10% damage increase. I kind of feel like 3 Hunters you can drop now. Like, if it's a splashable thing, I feel like it's totally doable. And to an even more, I don't know if it's really more interesting, but you can actually go. I wonder how much of a power spike it would be in Scrappies. Because you only have to add one unit, right? You can do Weaver Sniper +1. And Drow is not a bad unit. I mean, 10% attack speed at level 1 is good. And you can stand her right next to your sniper, like put her in between your sniper and your tinker, or your sniper and your gyro. I don't think Beastmaster would feel very good good in Scrappies. Lycan and Terrorblade arguably could be, but Scrappies is that weird build where sometimes you want a 3-star, sometimes you don't, and Lycan Terrorblade are both units that you really want a 2-star. Like, they're not playable at 1-star, really. And to be honest, you probably want to 3-star them. So those are two units that are going to really heavily fight for attention over trying to 3-star your Tinker or your something else. But I mean, legitimately, I feel like you could just splash a Drow. Like, I may start picking her up just for the maybe. Because this kind of puts it to the place where, like, you know, you're one bug away from bugs. And if you make that bug Nyx Assassin, then you're one assassin away. So you could run like 4 Scrappies with Weaver Sniper Bounty +1. Add Random Assassin. Add Drow. 6-man comp. And you get Scrappies, Bugs, Hunters. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. That's the 6 units, though. You'd be really weak. You need to change the Drow out for something. And your Nyx and Bounty are both 1-stars as well. It could really suck. I don't know. Okay, cool. Let's see. Insect. Fixed a bug where spider mings wouldn't be summoned if insects are boxed in and can't move. Okay. So I've actually seen that happen. I don't think I've ever noticed it happening to me, but I saw it on a stream where the battle finished and there were no bugs anywhere. And it was like, what happened? Like, what? Why? There wasn't AoE attacks. How did all my bugs die? So I guess if they were being blocked when the battle started, then they wouldn't spawn. then they wouldn't spawn. Okay, so knights. Okay, this is actually a real change, I think. Damage reduction changed from blah to blah. Holy frick! Wait a minute. Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I was reading the third set of numbers and thinking that was the new base. Okay. Maybe that... I don't have enough faith in Valve, because that would have been a terrible... terrible... I mean, it would have been a wonderful buff for Knights, but it would have been a terrible mistake. So, Knights at level 2 and 3 get 2 or 3 more damage reduction by themselves, which means that they also get 4 and 6 more damage if they are or damage reduction if they're standing next to another knight. I'm okay. This is one of these interesting buffs that it doesn't affect or in any way remotely change the problem. The biggest problem with knights is that they're kind of like they're really similar. They're like the contrapositive, I guess, to Scrappies. They're similar in a lot of ways, but they're different in a lot of ways. Scrappies have this thing was like you want to collect however many, and they just really easily fit other things in, right? You add one bug for bugs, add Nyx and an assassin for bugs assassins. You can add one for a hunter, you can add one for a warlock. Right? So it has this big open set. And the thing about it is like all of those sets are viable. They're all good. Knights kind of have the same thing. You have this, take how many ever you want. 2 is probably too weak. 4 is a good place. 6 is It could be really good. It could be really terrible. But the issue is even though they have a kind of similar overlap with other stuff, there's only really one good build, right? I mean, I guess there's 2. It's like Knights, Trolls, Healers, or Knights, Trolls, that's it. And so that's one problem with them. The other problem with them is they're so expensive. Like, there's just not, I think I saw somebody compare it, like if you had a 6-man board for all of the alliances and you got everything to 2-star, Knights took like 20 more gold than the next closest alliance. So that's the real problem with Knights. It's like they don't feel great anyway, but they're also just expensive as hell. And this doesn't change that. That is all still true, but they just made it better. So it's like what you're paying didn't change, but the value increased. Is it enough? I don't know. Maybe. At 4 knights, you're getting 2% damage reduction extra, or 4. It's not terrible, I don't think. I mean, it's a buff, and they were already kind of playable. Like I think in the last, let's see, I've played 9 tournament games. I definitely know that there were people running knights each day. I don't know if there was one every single lobby, but they were good enough to run if they hit right. And so I like this buff. It kind of keeps their identity, but it just makes them a little bit stronger, and it's a good amount too. Like this is not going to break them, but it will make them better. Okay. Mages, damage, magic damage. Okay, sweet. And by sweet, I mean why? Why? Excuse me. So mages have been hurting ever since they got nerfed. I think at one point, the magic damage bonus was like 40-75. Maybe even 50-75. It's a 10% change in the 3 unit, or it's a 10-point change in the 3 unit build. I don't know. The thing is the late game, I think you still have the same problem. The difference here is that gives you the ability to stay in the fight till the end game. Right, like you're not going to get to round 20 and have 3 health. And on top of that, they buffed like, I don't know, half of the mage units. So yeah, mages may be kind of viable now. which in turn also means that scaled is a thing again. Okay. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. It's going to be interesting. The problem with it when it was at 40 was that it was just too good. Right? Basically, if you were playing a mage and it was pre-25, your goal was make Cuddle work. If he gets his spell off, we win, and that's it. So I kind of worry about him buffing it by 10. And mages were really garbage, though. I don't know. It could be interesting because like half the units got buffed. I don't know if that feels like a lot. They may nerf that back down to 30 or something. I don't know for sure. Obviously. Spirit damage. Delta Slam increased to 25 per spirit. So that's a 75 damage increase. Sure. The spirits are still bad, I think. And the thing to think about that is, like, Earth Spirit's badness didn't really change, right? Getting dropped down a tier, his stats didn't change, so, you know, that's fine, but his stats were already bad, and his abilities worse. So, I don't know, this kind of feels just like nothing. Ember Spirit's harder to find. You can find Earth Spirit sooner, but he's a bad unit. So I don't know if plus 75 damage is good, especially on an ult or on an ability that you have no control who it hits. And it could hit one person, it could hit no people, or it could hit their whole board. So, okay. So that should be fun. I've got a tournament game Saturday, so I should actually get to practice. That's kind of nice. Okay. With that, I will call it.